about let's go with Barry's We're Brainless. We haven't chimed in on the revision recently, so yeah, why don't we start off with there? So yeah, this is the revision of Real Brainless. Very curious. So yeah, I think I don't know if Robert has heard all the background. So do you want to give just a little bit of background on it, Barry?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's a series. We've been reviewing the group for like 11 episodes now, and then just based on all the feedback, it just became evident kind of how I would have to twist the things around. So this is in my mind, this was a kind of a big rewrite. Originally had a 2-part pilot, which was probably just a big no-no. So I just really scooped out the whole center. If you put the pilot 1 and pilot 2 together, I just scooped out the whole center, kept the beginning, kept the end, and just tried to get the middle as short as possible so it would fit into an episode. And also, my Mark character kind of fell off the map throughout the whole episode, so I was just trying to boost him up. So that was kind of the goals. But yeah, in the end, it was just a big rewrite on episode 1, hoping that get that locked in, and then hopefully that would change the rest of the episodes, fix all the issues. We'll see.
Well, and Barry, when you say, excuse me, when you said it was a 2-part, it was a 2 1-hour episodes combined, or?
No, it was half an hour. I'm trying to stick between 30 and 35 pages because it's a comedy. I always try to put a little drama in, but I suppose every comedy's got a little drama in it. Yeah, so it's supposed to be short, and I just think the pilot should have a clear beginning and an end. I was trying to do the cliffhanger thing, and I don't know, never really worked too well with all the rest of the episodes. I just dropped that whole thought.
Well, a pilot can be longer, because I remember like the Rockford Files pilot was like a TV movie first, like 90 minutes or that, and then they showed it as a 1 hour for the reruns, but then they also show it as the 90-minute movie.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Also, I've been noticing too with shows, they'll put out like multiple episodes at one time, and then they do it weekly from there. Like, for example, I Know What You Did Last Summer. The series just came out, and they just gave you 3 episodes. No, they gave you 4 episodes. And there was a couple other series recently, like Chapelwaite. They did the same thing. They put out like 3 episodes. Dr. Death. So I think even a lot of shows like Robert just said, like that, they'll do that kind of like that 2-episode thing, like part 1 and 2. I think American Horror Story did that too. Like, it was just longer. Usually they're like 50 minutes or so, but the pilot episode that first episode will be 1 hour and 15 minutes, for example. Fargo did the same thing. So that's not something that I think that happens quite a bit. So just throw that out there.
Yeah, that was at least that seems to be the strategy for at least some of these. I think Apple TV does that. They put out like the first 2 episodes, and then they go weekly from there on. So yeah, you're trying to get audiences hooked. So yeah, I mean, it's no problem having a long pilot, Barry, especially if you want to break it up. Like your first episodes, you need to hook people in quick and fast, and sometimes it takes a little bit more time. But maybe we'll get into that with the critiques. But I think everyone is familiar with it. But just in case for refresher's sake, the first round are the positives, what we liked about the script, what came off best for us, and then the second round are the needs for improvement, critiques, and questions for Barry about whatever wasn't clear in the reading. But does anyone want to start us off with round 1, the positives?
Sure, I'll go.
Go ahead, Steve.
Barry, love the concept. It's great. Love the title, Zombies in Church. I'm hooked already.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great concept. I love the relationship Greg has with Tracy. I love Greg Jr. I think I got a couple suggestions about ramping that up. But overall, yeah, I mean, I'm hooked. It's a great idea. I love it. Good job, man.
Thanks.
I really liked it too. I found this one, it's lively and funny. I like Clint. I don't really remember Clint from before for some strange reason, but I
He
like
was
the way
new.
he talks. Oh, all right. I like the
Yeah, yeah.
cliches and the metaphors. I think it's funny. I think it adds something. And I like the bartender. He doesn't recognize Clint, the famous actor, but he says about Greg, oh, now we have a celebrity. I like that line. And I like, and I do like Greg and his wife. And I like how Greg Jr., the dog, that really stands out now. How he's jealous of the dog now and he's competing with the dog, which is cool. It just, Greg has a lot of quirks. I see them more, like he drinks Shirley Temples. When he's really upset, he drinks a Shirley Temple with an extra cherry on it. I don't remember if that was there before, but I see it now and it really stands out. So his quirks come out and he's so clueless and I like it.
Yeah, I think you definitely streamlined everything, Barry, from the first script. I think I'm trying to remember, way back when we read the very first version of this pilot, like there was a lot of confusion about how exactly Mark and Greg were able to get the funding for this. So I think, yeah, you just streamlined it. Like we're right in the middle of the shoot rather than trying to set everything up. And then I'm guessing you're going to go into flashbacks telling how they were able to sort of swindle this studio with trying to get funding. So yeah, I think that's a great approach because yeah, we're right in the middle of the things. Yeah, the first sequence is really good. That'll definitely hook people in. The zombies rising up in the church service. I think that'll definitely get some curiosity there of what exactly is going on. So yeah, I think all around, much more polished, much more streamlined from the first draft of this than that we read way back when. I don't even know, like maybe a year ago.
I know, it was a while back.
A while back, but yeah, I know. Great work on the revision.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I also like the new character Clint, and I like what you did with Mark and everything that Jeff said and everybody else said. I also want to echo this. I agree with what everybody said. So, good job.
Thanks.
Yeah, I like the title and I like the characters, the interaction. And I liked how Greg, the dog stuff. So when the dog trainer saying we got to treat Greg nicer and stuff, and Greg saying, "Oh, fine, I'm getting." So, oh, you mean the dog? Yeah. And also too, I liked it with the wife when he calls because he needs because he has to get away from the police. I liked how she's not one note and just is always like, no. She does, even though she's kind of like tough at the beginning, she's also okay. I'll be there for you when you really need me, which is nice. And I like the humor, the slapstick, the way you set stuff up. Like when we kind of set up that there's going to be confusion with the real funeral and things going on, so we can kind of start like anticipating and start laughing and waiting for that and being eager for that. And I like the payoff with the kid saying like if he prayed to Santa Claus would Uncle come back to life and things like that. And yeah, and it's got like a lot of energy, just a lot of. The characters, the way you describe them, they have a lot of great things for conflict.
Thanks, appreciate it. Awesome.
Yeah, Barry, I just add that as always, I just appreciate the fact that you've gone through 11 episodes here, developing your story. You've done it, you really stuck with it, and that's very, apart from anything about this particular episode, it's great that, you're focused like that, very professionally.
Yeah, Carl Reiner did that for the Dick Van Dyke Show before he got any deal with it. He wrote like 10, 12 episodes, and his friends were saying, you already wrote 12 episodes, wow.
Yeah, I thought you were supposed to. Now I know better. But yeah, it reminds me, I actually never pushed the last 2 episodes in this group. I think we only did like 8 or 9 in the group, but as if only. Focus.
Hey, look at this by Tyler Perry. He raised, I think he wrote like several seasons. I don't know how many shows he has, like 3 or 4 or 5 shows. He wrote every single episodes. He wrote the whole season. So,
Which,
you know,
which series was this?
huh?
What-
Oh, just he has a ton of them.
Yes.
Tyler Perry.
Oh, Tyler Perry. Okay.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
ones, the movies, Medea.
You know, it's kind of has to be part of the process really, because, you know, unlike a movie where you get in there and you explore every character, you can go from beginning to end in 100 pages. Now, 30 minutes, you got to figure out who the characters are that are going to carry you for 10, 12 episodes. I mean, I think it's just part of the process. But you have to write out all these episodes just to sift through and figure out stories about what characters you want, what characters can you write, and move through it that way. It's a little bit different than writing a movie. You really have to write all this stuff out.
All right. Anything else for Barry round one?
All right.
Going once, twice. Okay, so we're on to needs for improvement and questions for Barry on things that weren't clear in the script. Anyone want to take us off from there? Rosa?
My question still, believe it or not, I'm still confused on why Mark is stuck making this movie and not the serious one he wanted. I read page 10. Mark says, I pitched it. It's not my fault. I had them believing me. So he's in the meeting with the studio execs, right? They go to him, or he goes to them. He's trying to pitch. Greg bursts in. He was supposed to be waiting in the office, and he said he's not. He interrupts the meeting. All of a sudden, the movie studios stop talking to Mark and turn all of their attention to Greg, and Greg movies gets made. I know this is a comedy, but I know that just, I don't know. I mean, I like that. I mean, how else is he going to do it? He's going to burst in and now he's taken over. That's how, I mean, it's a good idea, but that's my only question. It's kind of been my question.
I know it's an excellent point.
I'm sorry. I had the same thing, but I assumed that eventually, future episodes that was going to be addressed. I'm not sure. I mean, you could attest to that. Is that something that's going to be addressed later on? That's just my assumption. So, I mean, you can answer that or not. If my assumption was correct.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great if I could explain it better, I guess, in this episode. But I do have to redo it. I was thinking about doing episode 2 before, and then keep episode 3 still episode 3. So yeah, episode 2 kind of fills in more. Yeah, if you guys have any ideas on how to, I mean, I understand there's always seems to be like a little bit of a leap I need to get to. Because it is kind of
Oh,
I'm
what I
not sure
was
the best way to do it.
Leap. What's the leap you're talking
Well,
about?
I have to get Mark involved in a project he doesn't want to get involved with, and I have to get greenlit this project of Greg's without any money. So I've always been trying to figure out, how do I get that? How do I get there the quickest way? Because it's not really, the point of the movie is not how he got there. It's just that he got there, and now what are they going to do? So how do you? Yeah.
I'm just going to say, I'm thinking, when I'm reading this and I'm reading all of the backstory part about the financing and all the rest of it, I go, what percentage you get, front end, back, however you describe it. Who cares about that? You're making a movie, and instead of having your lead be someone who's doing a movie he doesn't want to do, maybe the guy is just, he's all in, man. He's all in. Now, it might suck. And of course, that's the thing to play with, but the man is all in. And that's what we want to see, is someone who's all in on a horror movie, which might be great, but which might also just really suck. But it doesn't really matter.
Oh,
In any case, even if he's not all in, I don't think we need to spend a lot of time going over the cut and, that stuff. I just think it's we're trying to develop the comedy around the cast of characters you're going to see every week, and those primarily, I think, have to be the director and the actors and some sort of third, circus of people, really.
Well, if Mark isn't all in, then he won't try to sabotage. Because that was kind of funny when he tried to sabotage, I guess, that, when he put the powder in the masks.
Yeah, the original season was supposed to be that Mark is sabotaging the entire way, but it's just subtly hinted. And people really may not get it until the very last episode. And I thought the payoff was just way too long. And no one really caught on. No one really commented. I think Mark's screwing everything up. But there wasn't a really good reason why he was screwing up things before. It was always coming back to him. But I figured the payoff was way too late in episode 11 for Mark to be the one that screws everything up. So I was trying to change it. Oh, he has a reason to screw up everything. And it's just the fact that Greg figures out later at the end of the season, that would be enough of a twist for
because you need that because like you said, it's the motivation for him to sabotage, and because of the sabotage, I mean, it's difficult enough to make a film, but it's even more so difficult when you have somebody purposely sabotaging things, and the comedy is coming out. That's what the comedy is grounded in. It's grounded in there's all these mistakes and so on and so forth. But for him to be all in, then he will have no reason to sabotage, and then you won't have as like the mishaps won't be as big because there's not something there to create, all these, mishaps.
Well, and Barry, what you're saying, the way you describe it, it kind of reminds me of Ally McBeal's show when the male lawyer, he just starts acting strange where he's, anti-woman all of a sudden. But then it turns out like several episodes down the road that he had a brain tumor and that affected his behavior and he died. And the thing is, if they had shown that right off the bat, then I'd say, oh, I see why he's doing it. Whereas I'm thinking, oh, is this writing, it feels off. It's out of character for him. And then I was watching, but I wasn't as, invested. Now, if it's something like what you show why Mark, because in a way, it almost sounds like, do you remember the old Danny Kaye movie, The Court Gesture, when that might be fun to watch again, because that's when people are trying to sabotage things, but you know why they're sabotaging it. It makes it clear. Or even in I Love Lucy episodes, when they're trying to sabotage each other or do things, you know why they're doing it.
Right,
And the thing is, I was thinking to how to get the stuff in, like why Mark might be doing it and all that. The scene with Clint and Mark were talking, it was interesting, but I thought it was just long if it just go through that. I was thinking to intercut things in there, like when Clint would say, or Mark would say, oh, well, Greg had minor troubles on the project. And then you show something slapsticky, kind of like Albert Brooks Defending Your Life, where it's really, like where he's speaking undertone, how mild it is or whatever. And then but you're seeing what he's actually thinking. And you might do in this with Mark, where he's saying like, oh, he wants his project to work. And then you see just glimpses of why he is sabotaging it. What's his motivation there? And if these quick inserts, I mean, they could just be a flash image or whatever, but they'd be like slapstick or a funny joke, or like in Defending Your Life, it shows like him goofing up, and it shows him getting locked in the car, his own car, not getting locked outside, but inside. So he's like with that coat hanger trying to get out. They're just so goofy. But it's like, yeah, if you have that scene, it'd be working, and then you can get into Mark's brain and doing like, and maybe why he was friends with, maybe Greg did helped him out when he was a kid and he always owed him one. And you just show that fast or something. And maybe Greg helped him in a way that Greg clumsily helped him or so, but he did help him. So he said, well, I owe you one, something like that. But if you can show like his motivation and you sprinkle that within the bar scene with Clint and Mark, so you'd get the information from the bar scene, and you'd be also getting some funny physical humor and backstory stuff where it's subtle, because it's like going in Mark's brain, and he just, like how when we're having a conversation with someone and, how come you were late? You don't want to say, oh, I just woke up late. You say, oh, the trains were late, and technically they were, but you didn't take the train to work. you walk, stuff like that.
Yeah, right. Oh, good idea. I like it.
Can I talk about the bar scene on Jeff? Can you call it page 10? Please.
Will do.
Thank you. The bar scene is 4 pages long. And
Can you see it?
yep, maybe page 10 or the bottom of page 9, I think it starts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Oh, goes all the way up to 8.
Yeah,
8
okay,
actually, yeah.
right. So I just had an idea how you can really shorten it and punch it up. And you just come in with Mark saying, you want me to do what? And now you're cooking. Now we're hooked, because I'm watching that scene going, okay. But if you come in with Mark saying, you want me to do what? So now you just got to figure out a reason why Clint wants to sabotage the movie. And maybe he's got another zombie movie coming out. And he doesn't want this one to succeed. He wants this to be, dead on arrival. Or maybe he's got it in for Greg. I mean, that's something you can figure out. But I would just start right off with that. One more, and I'm gonna email you my comments. The opening, where you've got Father O'Toole, it's a rehearsal, which is great. Couple things. So if you have the whole thing with Father O'Toole saying I do, and then or the passionate, he says, anybody have anything to say? And the parishioner man says, I do, and Father O'Toole says, please say your piece. Again, those you can just get rid of that, because it just slows it down. Does anyone else want to say anything about Mr. Romero? And the parishioner man just stands up. Okay, let him stand up. And what I would have him say is maybe something like, I know John is on his way to hell, kicking and screaming the whole way there. Or he can say something like, I know he didn't want to go quietly into that good night, and I bet you he's still fighting the angel of death right now. And then it pops open. So now you set up the whole casket opening up. So now it's like, okay. Kind of tie those two together a little bit. He's going kicking and screaming, and then maybe Father O'Toole says, "Amen," and then it pops open. And maybe the parishioner woman says something like, I told you all the toxins were coming up everywhere, but nobody would listen to me. Maybe now you'll listen to me. So maybe now we're getting an idea of, oh my God, there's toxicity in the drinking water, in the ground, and that's why people are becoming zombies. Awesome. And that may tie that in together a little bit more. And Greg Jr., I had him not only peeing, but humping everybody's leg. That's funny. I mean, now you know that's why they got to take him to this dog obedience, because he's out of control. I mean, peeing, you can kind of fix that a little bit, but if he's humping everyone's leg, maybe while the woman's talking to him, we don't even know he's humping, and then we see him humping the teacher's leg, and then maybe he goes and he humps somebody else's leg. You want to amp it up a little bit more with that.
Well, did he also bite their ankles or their
something? Just I was thinking maybe like he's dragging a little kid across the lawn or something. Wow. I mean, hey, where'd Greg Jr. go? And they look out and he's dragging this little kid. Right. Just to bring it up. One more thing, and I'm gonna send you all my notes. On page 15, Greg is talking to Tracy, and he says, "Going to bed now. Here's an idea. Unless you want me to do something special. It's been a while." And Tracy says, "What? Like do the dishes?"
Gotcha. Nice.
Right, and then he goes, "Yeah, I should be getting to bed now. Big day tomorrow." So I thought it might have a little bit more punch if you say, "Unless you want me to do something." I mean, he's thinking about sex. Do something special. And then she goes, "What? Like do the dishes?" And that kind of gives you a much better idea of he's a slacker, and she knows it, but she still loves him.
Nice.
Anyway, I'll give you the rest of them. Oh, the other thing I had a problem I didn't understand is who tells Father O'Toole not to show up at the shoot? Is that Mark?
Yeah.
He-
So the way it was
he said
supposed to be.
his car broke down.
Oh,
Do
well,
we-
see,
yeah, but did the car really break down?
well,
Oh.
there's two sets of priests, right? There's the actor priests, which is, yeah,
Father-
okay, so,
that's Father O'Toole. He's the actor
Mhm.
priest, right?
The actor.
right, and I was thinking of myself, maybe I don't need to have two sets of priests, right? Maybe one of the priests is acting. And because right now I have three priests, and it's kind of confusing. That's why I had to put a name in the beginning one.
Go with Father Jones and make, yeah, you've got Barry.
Mhm.
Have him talking to Mark about the only reason that they're letting they use the church is because Mark has promised them a new roof
Right.
with all the money that, and he goes, well, it's not really money, it's points. He goes, what's a point? And then you can have some fun with that, and he's he's bullshitting them, trying to get them to use the church because this is the guy. He runs the show there, and then he's the one who's delivering the funeral service.
Mhm.
But yeah, I even have Mark call Father O'Toole on the phone. Hey, we don't need you anymore, but thanks anyway. Okay, bye. That way we know. Okay, because I'm like, where's Father O'Toole? What happened to him?
Yeah, I mean, all the actors were supposed to be Mark's responsibility,
Mhm.
and maybe it was too subtle of a line. So Mark was going to take care of. Mark told Greg he was going to take care of all the actors. That's what I was explaining why none of the actors were going to show up. But of course, then you do have the one zombie actor
Mhm.
that Greg has. So that's the one exception to the rule.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I didn't explain that one better. Yeah.
because he's letting all the real people come in. And the other thing I said during the service, the guy talks about Al Smith, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, Greg, what happened to Mr. Romero?
Oh crap. Okay.
Wouldn't Greg say,
Good
wait a
catch on
minute,
that one.
who's Al Smith?
This is the real service. He was a
Oh, well, wait.
fireman.
No, I have to.
Yeah.
Wait, they do have to be two separate names though.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So maybe I need to take out the
Or maybe someone says,
take out
hey,
Al
who
Smith altogether.
rewrote the script?
Mhm.
Yeah, just one line
Yeah,
of
some-
evidence.
Yeah.
Who? And they
Yeah.
goes, oh, never mind. Al Smith is fine a name
Mhm.
or something. But that was like, wait a minute. Wouldn't Greg say something? Because Greg's still in the dark about it being a real funeral.
Right. Yeah, I meant to add that line. Who rewrote the script?
Yeah, who rewrote the script? He goes,
Yeah.
well, Al Smith is fine. Who's going to remember it or something? It's just a real quick throwaway line just to let everyone know. Oh, okay, Greg's still in the dark about this.
Well, one thing I thought was real funny when, the young girl says, I just have to go pee, and the father saying, God bless, go dry your tears. I just have to go pee. And he says, does anyone else want to say anything about Mr. Romero? And just the way he says that, it's like her saying, I got to go pee. Had nothing to do with Mr. Romero, but the way he said it was funny. But then when the other next character says, I do, I thought the priest could be just looking around and say, I now pronounce you. Oh, yes, please. Something like that.
Mhm.
Oh, and one other thing for the beginning scene with when you're showing, the people in the pews and all that, and say the priest is saying, the actor priest is saying stuff, you cut to Greg, but you think he's in the pew, he's one of the pew, the parishioners, and he's mouthing what the priest is saying. So it brings a little intrigue to what's he doing? Is it saying like the priest just says the same thing over and over again, that the parishioners know this? Like, we don't know yet. And then when you cut to him saying cut and all that, then you see he's on a directing set. But it would create a little mystery because it would introduce Greg just a little sooner into it. But it's be a close enough shot where you just maybe just see the shoulders of other people where you think it's like, yeah, he's in the pews, but why? How come he can read his mind? So it would just create a little question in our mind. So it would draw us in. So we'd want to be watching a little further.
Gotcha.
Barry, I had a little problem with the girl having to pee. I'm like, where's the payoff on that? And there's no payoff. I'm like, okay, what's going to happen to this little girl? I don't even know if you need it. I would just get right to, dearly beloved, we're all gathered here to honor a wonderful man. Does anybody have, anything they want to say? And then parishioner man gets up and he talks about, I know he's kicking and screaming, fighting off the devil right now. Boom, casket comes off. I think you want to get to that real fast.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
I was just wondering, okay, she has to go to the bathroom. Okay, I have to go pee. Okay, why? I mean, she's an actor. She's part of the group. She'd already gone to the bathroom.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Yeah,
it slows it down. Get right to the casket popping open as quickly as you can, and then have the pandemonium start.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or if you want the payoff, I'm not sorry to interrupt, Stephen. I
No,
just
please,
wanted
go
to
ahead.
make it quick, see this sort of thing on that. Like you could still have that, the actors, but that's part of the bit. It's like I have to go pee, but then like we cut back to her and she says, I don't have to pee anymore because all the stuff that's going on. Like it implies that she sort of like involuntarily like sort of peed herself. But I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to keep that, I mean, that's one way you can do it. But
That's a good payoff. Oh, correct. Well, she's an actor, so
right,
she
she's
knows
in the
this.
scene. Yeah,
So
she's
she
in
would.
the scene.
So yeah. So I don't know if she'd pee herself or not out of fright, or maybe she does. I don't know. But you can just pay it off somehow if you're going to leave it in
Okay.
there.
Yeah, unless Greg's wife, not that she's pregnant or anything, but she might have to pee a lot, or maybe the dog keeps peeing all over the place, and that's where it kind of gets in his mind, like, oh, yeah, he's got to pee again. He has to take the dog for a walk, and so he's got to pee again, deepers, or something that relates to Greg's real life. That's why he would have put it in the script.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess I was trying to allude to some bad lines, that there's some bad acting going on.
Mhm.
Just kind of out of control.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff out of control too, but I was just trying to emphasize something about the bad acting piece.
Okay.
But yeah, that's one way of doing that. Or the payoff with the P.
Or have the bad acting happen at the moment that things are going haywire.
Mm.
And then you can have, bring the bad acting in there. People are bumping into each other. People don't know they're blocking, all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
And then Greg could say, these guys need to work on their blocking or something like that.
Well, one thing too, I was wondering, because they haven't, this is a rehearsal, but they're going full blood and everything, and they're spending money on this. So you figure low budget, they wouldn't have that much money. Why wouldn't they film this if they're doing it? So I'm thinking that after they do this, you could have one of the crew people just say, why didn't we film this if we're going to spend it? And Greg said, well, why didn't you say something? And the guy holds up like 4 fingers. I did. And then another character, crew member holds up like 3 fingers or 4 and says, me too. And then Greg says, well, better late than never, or something like that. Because it just seemed like if they are going to spend all this stuff, at least noted that's part of the incompetence of it. They didn't even film this. They could have got some, great out, like stuff just by accidents filming it. And the other thing too, when you have, was it Samantha saying, we can't like say something like, we can't do this realistically unless we have 30 people to fill the pews. And Greg could say, well, how about just 10 fat folks? And he said, what? He said, yeah, make it look like a revival. I said, no, that's bad. And he said, well, zombies revival, like that. And then and then one of the girls could say, oh, that's awful or something, one of the crew members. And then if you did use that joke, then you could have later on Clint in the bar saying, like he's reading the script and he's got like the zombies and the machine gun kids. He said used every tired cliche in here except in a bunch of obese people in church, obese parishioners, something to play off it again, if you wanted that joke in the beginning.
Yeah. Nice.
But I kind of like how Greg is kind of like obliviously positive, like things will work out. But like if he can say kind of like nonsense things like that, we wasted all this money right now
True.
shooting everything. I mean, well, the blood and all that. I said, well, better late than never. He's speaking up. When they already did speak up, so it's like compounding the obtuseness upon each other. It just makes it funnier.
Right. It would be funny if he said more inappropriate things. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It would be funny.
Mhm.
He just does that a character.
Yeah, and even if he's not the character, but it does seem like he'd be the character fit. It's always fun to have that type of character in a movie, just appropriate stuff.
Mhm.
He has no idea. Yep. That's a
Yeah.
good one.
Barry, I got just, let me give you a major rewrite here in a nutshell. One, I think maybe you should consider a voiceover. Maybe that would help pull things together. Somebody's voice, somebody who has a comic voice introduces things. And if you want to get into, especially things about points and distribution and all that kind of stuff, someone who can tell the story of the making of the movie from a comic perspective. It could be Greg, the director. I'm doing this, and he's funny as he's telling it, or he's just a man who's got, all the weight of the world on his shoulders, wherever. But it's sort of funny. The other way I would suggest is that maybe you want to just start this off a little bit differently and let us know that what we're doing is we see the setup is this is going to be the making of a horror movie. And we see the roles start to get cast of the zombies being cast. And we understand who the leads are. So we start to know who we're going to be working with. And then finally you end with this scene that you've begun the thing with the actual shooting in the church, and craziness happens, and you pull back, and we're watching it on the monitor. We cut between the monitor, watching the scene and the actual scene unfolding. And then at the hooker at the end is that not only is Greg watching it, but the producer is watching it, and the producer thinks the thing sucks, and that Greg, he calls Hollywood or whatever, says, I think we need to fire Greg, and that's the cliffhanger for the next episode. And so that Greg, even though we might really like him, and maybe we think he's not going to last. This thing is crazy. we just spent a little bit more time setting up the people you want us to see, because it's. I mean, when you introduced Reef, for example, I thought, oh, there's a guy who could be a lead. It reminded me like of Andre the Giant from, Bride. I thought that'd be a great character. I mean, a guy who's this huge, he's the worst, he's the scariest zombie you've ever met. He's huge, he's tall, he's strong. And then when he goes off character and he becomes his own person again, he's the sweetest guy possible. Did I hurt you? When the altar, did I bite you too hard? And so, okay, now this is a guy, we go, I want to see more of him. And so you spend a little bit of time just basically setting the characters you're going to have fun with for the rest of the series. Because, I mean, you want to have 5-6 characters that you just keep coming back to. And it can't be Greg, because right now Greg is just not, he's just not entertaining enough. He's not, someone I really want to spend a lot. I like him, but I don't think he can carry the show. If you want to have the Mark Wright's the guy who's always screwing things up, maybe instead of making him this kind of malevolent character who's deliberately in kind of a evil way trying to disrupt the show, he's the bumbling fool who always thinks he's doing the right thing, but he always gets it wrong. He's the I Love Lucy, he's the Lucy character. And so again, it plays, what are you doing? You're doing a comedy. The heavy is this producer who is, watching it from the side and thinking of firing everybody and whatever. So, we always know that the show as we're making the show, it's always in jeopardy. It might not get renewed. It might not get, whatever, whatever you want to set that up. But I just feel like we charge into this, but we don't have characters to carry the episode. And that's really what I want to see.
What you're saying, Rob, like Barry, if you plot it like with the B story and the A story, where whatever Greg's having trouble in the B story with the family life or whatever, he learns from that to resolve what's going on in the film. Like they just lost their $10,000 for costumes or whatever, but he figures out something from his life that they were struggling with. Oh, let's do that, or thing. Almost the way the Seinfeld episodes would have the 3 different stories, and at the end they all kind of converge and stuff, or one resolves the other. And the other thing, what Rob was saying, just to piggyback off that, it's like, think of your characters, like what functions they do. Like there might be a character that's always annoying to a character, so they always cause conflict. Like in Kolchak, the boss keeps getting annoyed with Kolchak, or in Rockford Files, Angel keeps annoying Rockford and stuff. Or you have another character who might say dopey thing. That's like Greg's thing. He's positively optimistic, and one's more acerbic or whatever, or things like that. Maybe make just a list of character interactions that you see in different shows, like, whether Cheers or All in the Family, where they bump heads against each other, and then see if you could just assign like what characters you already have here that could be more, because like the giant, like what Rob's saying, he almost reminds me that he could be like the Edith character in All in the Family, where he's like innocent, he's kind, like everyone thinks maybe he's stupid or lumbering, this or that, but he shows that he just has more common sense and empathy than anyone else. And so that humor would come out differently. The jokes that he would say, or his observations from his characters, would be funny in their own unique way, the way Edith's would be. But yeah, I think of like the interactions that, like you see in different TV shows, even in dramas or comedy dramas like Rockford Files and all that, or Maverick would have like someone like a gambler who would always like trying to screw over Maverick, and there'd be a woman character doing that. Like just different ways they butt heads in TV shows you like Raymond, Everyone Loves Raymond, or whatever that. And even like Hogan's Heroes and all that, the types of jokes that they would, or Northern Exposure, and then assign it to the characters, and then just see what you can do from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, originally I had Mark was more vested in getting the film done, and he just felt that the very first time he screwed up, it made the film better. So he's just going to purposely try to sabotage the movie to keep making it better. But I wasn't sure if the general audience could figure that out. That, sometimes, in movies, you want that magic moment, which usually happens, with an improv. And I couldn't just seem to get, well, Mark wants to screw it up, but at the same time, he wants to get the movie made. It was very deep. I wasn't sure if I was losing the audience with all that. So I decided, well, I'll make Mark the sabotager. But then I'm wondering if he just becomes the bad guy and not another guy just in conflict.
Well, you could make him torn he could be torn, like he wants to sabotage it, but he also wants to make a good film, and say he does feel like he owes Greg something that Greg did for him in the past, that you show he's torn. And there might be at one point in the movie, like he does something that he's trying to sabotage it, and the crew member says how great everything worked, and he could just be standing under a picture of a light bulb. So it gives the impression that you realize, so he's like conflicted or whatever. And the thing is, Greg kind of does that role too, but if you have them doing the same role but coming from different angles, that would work, and then it would kind of complement each other and kind of make them two parts of the same character, where they both want to make a good film, but they're conflicted. And, Greg's conflicted because he's too optimistic, and maybe Mark's conflicted because he's too pessimistic and thinks, oh, this will never work, all this and that. And they kind of learn throughout the show that they kind of need each other. Like in the movie Inside Out, the film, like they always wanted depression to stay away, not touch anything. And then the cheerful character realizes for the girl to get through life, she has to go through with sadness and optimism together, and the combination succeeds. So maybe there's something with Mark and Greg are mirror images, but Greg's a little over optimistic and Greg's a little too pessimistic, and throughout the series they're working towards fusing together for a common goal.
Yeah. So I guess I put that question out there because I mean, before Greg was kind of more interested in getting the movie done, but he was purposely sabotaging everything. But it just looked like an accident every single episode. Or do we make it Mark more of a, he's always trying to purposely sabotage everything to make the movie stop?
What if you just change, alter kind of the character lineup here? You've got the director, and that person wants to make the movie. Then below, to the side or below, you have two subordinate characters. We'll call them Greg and Mark in this case, just because that really sets up who they are. And one wants to make the movie, and the other one wants to sabotage the movie for whatever reason, just create why he's there. And as you watch the series, you watch these two battle it out. And it could be that when the bad guy tries to screw things up, the good guy, whether intentionally or unintentionally, reverses the bad guy's plans. Or you could go bad guy, reverse good guy, reverse bad guy, and you could have 3 or 4 reverses within each episode. And so all it is you're just setting it up, the relationship between the two characters, so that every time we see them on camera, we're just waiting to see how, which one is going to be dominant, which is going for that moment. And then, probably most of the time the good guy wins, but the bad guy wins too. And, play it that way. So whenever you see what I'll just call the Greg and Mark characters, they're always getting ready to do whatever they're going to do. And the director, on the other hand, has a whole different set of concerns in the show. He's got to run Stalag 13, to put it in terms. And he can't necessarily go that way. Anyway, just throw that out.
A reason Mark might be sabotaging, say the producer, he wants this film to fail so that he can do like I think Steven was saying, like his own zombie movie. And he promises to Mark, you'll get this good crew position on this big budget, or even on this new zombie movie. And maybe that new zombie movie is called Zombie, Zombie, Zombie. So when he's criticizing what kind of title is Zombie, Zombie, and then later on we see his triple, but Mark is concerned like he's breaking his promise to Greg, and because he's letting him down. And then later on in the show, Mark discovers that position that was promised him, that producer took away from him because they wanted another guy so that he could make the movie, even like a bigger budget and stuff. So he sold him out, and Mark kind of realizes what he did. Kind of like in the Tootsie movie when, Dustin Hoffman stands up to Terry Garr character, and then when he's talking to the other woman thing and how he's been hurt and stood up and all that, it dawns on him how he did the same thing and betrayed his other best friend. So it might be something like Mark is doing it because he thinks he's like focusing on his career more, and this would be a great opportunity to do the zombie movie. But then he gets screwed over just as he's screwing over his friend. And then he's torn too, where he may at times not follow through, where it like kind of like the wife character when she's not all mean to him, where she'll be there when he needs it. Maybe he'll kind of sabotage himself too, because he's conflicted too.
It could also just be, instead of it being like people on the production side for this, just make him part of the actor crew. There you got the lead actor who, let's just call him Reef. You got one zombie who's Clint. Clint has agreed, Clint/Reef, they've got somebody to do this zombie thing. And the other actors or actors can't stand him, or at least one can't, and kind of tries to undermine him at every step along.
Oh, yeah, if he's an actor too within it.
You got to have an actor. You got to have you got to focus on the actors here, because we got to know who the zombies are. And I'm not really clear. This is a zombie movie, correct? That's the premise of this, is that this is a zombie movie that's being made.
Yeah. They're making that zombie. But yeah, it's zombie.
Okay.
It's a zombie/action movie.
Okay.
But that's a
I mean,
great.
go ahead.
Sorry, Rob, but no, that's a great idea where Mark is also an actor in the film too. And maybe he's sabotaging it too, like the lines. Because I remember there was some actor for some show where he would intentionally flub the lines on the series so that everyone would have to go into overtime. So the whole cast would get time and a half. And so the cast loved him for it, and it camaraderie. So there might be like some scene where he's doing to screw everything over. He's doing the lines wrong on purpose. And that's causing them to have to spend extra budget time. But then the whole crew, like Greg stands in, like he sacrifices something that he does, and the crew loves him for it. So people are now pulling for him more on the crew, where they're giving an extra effort. And that can eventually be influencing Mark, because he's seeing like all these people are giving their heart and soul. It's building over time to do this film because they see Greg's vision and they appreciate how he was there for them when he could have screwed them. He could have easily screwed them out of the overtime or whatever, but he didn't, and stuff like that, just to make it a little more complex. With nothing's like black and white. But But Rob's idea of making him like, if he's an actor and also produce a thing too, that gives him more opportunities of trying to the ways to screw up the film, and also more ways that he would want to make it succeed.
Right.
Yeah, I just wanted.
That
Go ahead,
idea
Rose. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go
See,
right ahead.
That idea of making Mark the producer and an actor, I don't know. I was just thinking about, I know you guys love, it's your opinion, but I don't know. I like him as producer. I don't know now. He's an actor producer. I mean, I don't know. There are a lot of, I guess if you're an actor producing your own thing, you would be an actor producer. But I think Mark is just, I don't know. I guess anything can work to make it work, but I don't know. I don't know about that particular one.
Well, you feel it'd be like too forced in the script doing it that way?
Yeah, I would just, but I like the idea of everyone said, concentrate a bit on one of the actors or something, bring them out more. That's a good idea. Why not? Like have Greg, like, this is one actor who's like kind of really loves him or hates him or something. You can do that. That's all fun, but I don't know. The idea of Mark is, because it's just, I don't know. For me, I don't know. I don't think it's completely necessary, because I think you can have him sabotage without having to be an actor too.
Saying what?
Well, I think Jeff wants.
No, go ahead, bro. No, it's all right.
But just
want to,
sorry,
Go
to
ahead.
piggyback off what Rose is saying, I mean, in a way that almost sounds like Mark could be almost like Hogan, and he could be there's some actor that's pivotal to the film, and he plays off of the actor's, vanity or whatever, the way Hogan would play off the Clank, to kind of do things in a way that would kind of trying to sabotage it, but not always work.
Or you could have Mark just bring in actors who he's planning on sabotaging. They're part of the whole deal. That's part of Mark's thing. Hey, great. We got this great actor, blah, 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 blah. And he's there to sabotage. And he's working with Mark.
Like in the producers, when they purposely pick the worst script they can get and the worst actor they can get, but then it's just so bad it's good.
Barry,
That's what the engine is. It's so bad that it becomes good. I mean, that's the whole engine of the show. Mark sabotages something, but it actually makes the movie so much better in the end.
I like that.
And that's the engine.
Yeah. Barry, one more thing. Have Greg really want this to succeed so the town will get a shot in the arm. I mean, I would have, if you want to go for broke, have somebody on the street corner selling turnips. Or have them go by the turnip factory and it's shut down.
Yeah.
Stores are
Mhm,
shut
mhm,
down. I mean, let's get an idea of the town, which
Right,
was going to
okay.
make us root for Greg even more.
Mhm.
You know, this movie's going to put this town on the map. They're going to, however you want to play it up. But I think we
Right.
really need to get behind Greg. If Mark is going to start sabotaging, and I think it's a great idea, I
Mhm.
want an equal force with Greg
Mhm.
wanting it to succeed, and I want to
Mhm.
know why he wants this movie to succeed, and
Right.
it's to save the town,
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yep.
something like that.
Absolutely.
So
Good one.
I would build that up, and I like
Okay.
I like the whole turnip thing, by the way.
Yeah, the turnip, you can get
Turnip thing,
turnip
thing.
industry
Turn up
funding.
industry.
I love
Turnip-
it.
love it.
The turnip capital of the world.
There you
Mhm.
go.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
There you go.
Barry, I was just going to throw out an idea too. You know, you've made this right now. This just sounds like it's going to be another zombie movie. But maybe you should make it clear right from the start that Greg, the director, has an ego bigger than Francis Ford Coppola.
Mm.
It's going to be the first zombie movie set in outer space, crossed with a heist movie,
Mhm.
this crossed with that, and just play it so we know that this is not going to be, we're not going to limit it to zombies. There are going to be aliens in this. There are going to be alien creatures. There's going to be alien, monster type flick. We're going to see all this shit. And so suddenly we realize, even though there's all kinds of thrills and chills coming our way as this movie is being made, and by God, this guy's bitten off way more than he can chew, and
Mhm.
it almost has to fail, really, given how big his ambition is. But maybe
Right. Yeah, this isn't just a simple, like, no budget zombie flick to him. This is like, Apocalypse Now or Godfather. Like, this is everything he's been gunning for his entire life. Like, and he wants to make it so. But we do have to move on shortly, but I want to make sure, Kenyatta, did you wanted to say anything about for Barry? Kenyatta, you still there? Hey, came man, come on.
Mhm.
Okay, I just
Oh,
say
you can comment.
Okay,
to
go ahead.
Barry,
Yeah, just one last thought.
just to
Yeah,
re-
just good last thoughts in. Yeah.
yeah, just to recommend. I think it's Japanese film. It's Welcome Back, Mr. McDonald, because they're doing a live radio show, and one of the actors wants like to be a gangster, whatever, but just making that one change while they're doing the broadcast live, they have to do everything. They're changing more and more things where it's like what Rob is saying, where it's getting more absurd, like spaceships, all this, where it's supposed to be a simple thing. But that might be a film to watch, just to see how it's growing more and more. And you also see a truck driver who's listening throughout the show. And at the end of the movie, he stops and drives into the thing and says how moved he was by everything and something like that. And it might be something too, yeah, like what Stephen was saying, to show the effects on the town and the people who view the movie too.
Yeah.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It's also crossed with Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. There's got to be miniaturization in this. Just go for broke, man. This guy's
That's good.
got an ego that can fill up the.
Oh, and they can do the overacting, like someone with the fly swatter or something. Yeah,
Yeah, we do have to
appreciate-
move on. Yeah, we do have to
Yeah,
move on.
appreciate
But yeah, I think this is a good start, Barry. But I think all the suggestions of trying, just amp it up, like, because right now, Mark and Greg, they're fine characters, but I think you can really play into them. You can really play into their dynamic together. And what you said is great. Like, Mark is intentionally trying to sabotage everything, and Greg is like this, pie in the sky, just auteur director that's trying to just get his dream on screen. But Mark is the obstacle. I think, just play that up. Make sure, and we should know right from the beginning, like, what the dynamic is. And I think, they'll vastly improve. Do you want to turn in the next sort of revision of the episode, or do you want to work on this a little bit more?
I have to think about how I haven't done two because of one's not really. I'll definitely try to redo one and then think about two.
Okay.
I
Jeff
appreciate it, guys.
Goldblum
Really
is the
good.
director.
Helpful.
That's a guy who we could.
That's the guy they could get, right? Okay, but since Steven just took off, do you want to do tails?
Yeah.
Do Rose's tails again? Another revision of
Yeah.
the script, but yeah. So yeah, same deal. First round and second round. So yeah, Steve, we're going to do Rose's tails.
Okay.
And then yeah, first round, second round, same deal. Anyone want to start us up with the positives?
Sure, why not?
Mhm.
I love the idea. It's a great idea. And I like how short it is too. It's a very condensed movie.
Mhm.
You got good characters, you got some nice twists, and yeah, overall, nice job. I really like it. Very, very creative.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, I think the concept is great. I'd love to see a modern day, mermaid tale. I thought it was very, very descriptive. Like, I love the visuals. It had great pace, and it always got my interest going, which is great. Yeah, I think it should be made into something much, much bigger. As you get all the rules together, and it's like a great intro to a much bigger piece, in my mind. But yeah, very nice.
Yeah, I think it is I think I like the female, I like the mermaid, I like that they're badass gals. And I do think it is a setup for something much bigger.
I liked how it was just felt innovative for the mermaid story, because I was used to it just, kind of like Splash or something where they're more friendly and all that. And it almost felt like they're like vampires in a way, the thing. And it never occurred to me. It just seemed brilliant. Just that. I was like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, basically the same comments as the first round. I really like the descriptions, sort of all the ways that you describe the different settings and everything. Yeah, it's again the best part of it. You can really feel the settings. You can really imagine how these characters sort of interact with it. But yeah, it's definitely a good short. Definitely a nice little sort of modern take on on a mythos.
Now, is this going to be a short film, or is this going to be into a feature-length film?
No, it's a short, it's 10 minutes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Are you considering expanding it like, what was that Billy Bob Thornton film that he did it as a short film and then?
Oh. Yep, Sling Blade.
Sling Blade, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, there are
Not
many
at
other.
present.
Go ahead.
I think I told Kenyatta, he mentioned it, that this could, make it longer. And then he said, oh, this movie did that. Started off as started off at 10 minutes. I don't know, Kenyatta's here. This
Yeah.
and this and this. As of now, I really just am trying to keep this as a 10-minute and hopefully get together with Demi and others next summer. Maybe we can film this as a 10. I'm not feeling it as a feature yet, but I'm in the back of my mind. But right now, I'm just seeing it as a short.
Yeah, whenever you're ready, I mean, you could definitely turn it to a feature. Because you definitely have the mythology there. And I mean, we talk about, they make movies about vampires, werewolves, and all that. I mean, there are some films on mermaids, but there's not a whole lot. So, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities there. So whenever you decide that you want to take it to, further, the opportunity is definitely there.
Mhm.
And the characters are distinctive too. The three main women in that. I thought they're very strong characters in their interactions.
Okay, everyone good on round one? Going once, twice.
I do
Alright.
have a question.
What?
I do have a question. I had to take care of something real quick, so I missed some stuff. But okay, when I read it the second time, right, it seemed like the changes that you made, the revisions, more had to do with the formatting. Did you do anything like else besides formatting?
I had, Yeah, I added a scene in the bar and I added some lines.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
I added the visual in the bar in the past, and then I think I just added a line in the beginning where she sniffs and then she sniffs again. So she sniffs twice so that we recognize that they kind of have a good power of smell, which is
Okay. Yeah.
kind of.
Okay.
So I added little things. Yeah, I did. It's still 10 minutes, but I added little things.
Okay.
But yeah, anyone want to go on for round two? Critiques, needs for improvement?
Well, it's a little thing, but like for the tea, when she says a lot dialogue about the tea, I would say be specific. And I just Googled, there was a tea that relates to mermaids. And I have in a line of dialogue, I say, I have some mace tea leaf brewing. And that's related to, so it's mace tea leaf, but it's related to mermaids. You can Google it and just see the different symbolism. But the specificness of it makes it more, like the universal universe. And the dialogue, I want it to be a little more sparse, because sometimes it felt a little too on the nose for me. Like when the characters was talking about the rain, just say like, oh, rain's bad. And the other one says, for you, not me. And said, come in and just let me be. And the other line of dialogue, when you have, say, your fishwife's tale and all that, just have the character maybe say something like, fishwife, leave me go. And that would kind of echo earlier on where she's telling her, we got to separate. And the other one's saying, no, we got to stay together. But just by saying something like that, like sometimes you'll have complete sentences of dialogue where you could just do more clips of it. But also you can echo what the subjects of it, like just say, instead of just go inside, just leave me go, or something to that effect, kind of implies, we got to go on our own, to echo what you mentioned earlier, the characters were mentioning their conflict is.
I got a couple things. Your memory flash that happens early on. Just a thought, because you go from the two women to the memory flash, back to two women, memory flash. I would just a suggestion, just when you have the memory flash, just stick with the memory flash and have them do a voiceover. I think it might be a little less jarring. Because we don't know, when we see it, it's a memory flash on screen, but we're thinking, okay, I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm just seeing a woman's hands. Whose hands are they? I don't know. And then when she says, don't get me started on her stained glass work, I'm waiting to see some horrible stained glass work. I mean, really bad. So that was just a suggestion there. When she says you shouldn't spend time in the rain, but she does, I'm like, okay, what's the payoff? I want a payoff there. Does she come in with a big tail? I mean, that'll tip your hand. So, or she's got to say, you should spend time in something rain. I know when to get out of the rain. I know how long it takes. Just something like that, just so it's like, okay, I got it. She knows. Page 3 in the living room, you mentioned Alec, and then Irene talks, but we don't. You got to put Irene in the room.
Yeah.
Just, Irene sits. Irene, and it sits in a chair or something. Just so we know that Irene's room, because all of a sudden she starts talking like, well, we don't. We're right there, right?
Right.
And then Irene starts talking. Just make sure that we know that Irene is in the room there. On page 6, you lost me. We see a tail. We see fish swim in the water. Swarm of fishes scuttle in the sea. I'm not quite sure what I'm looking at or why it's there. Just something to think about. Tip of a large mammal's tail flicks as they dive into the water. So is there more than one? We've just been seeing one tail so far, and then all of a sudden, there's a they So just make a note of that. And my last thing is the black screen that you go cutting back and forth to.
Mhm.
That really, I found that a little too jarring for me.
Mm.
It's like, I don't know what's the significance of the black screen. You go
Mhm.
back to it, I think 4 times,
Mhm.
and I'm like, it took me out of your story.
That's a lot of dialogue over black.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Right.
And I get you're trying to hide sort of like the reveal. Oh, Alec is like transformed, but yeah, we need something like just give us like a sunset or give us like just the ocean, yeah, rather than just a
Unless-
blank screen, yeah.
Or maybe their hands are putting glass on the lamp. Maybe they're built. Maybe
Just
you're just
something, yeah. You need something there in order, yeah, just for the voiceover to play over. I mean, yeah,
maybe 'cause they were collecting sea glass. Let's see them
Mhm.
actually make a lamp.
Yeah.
Something like that with the off screens instead of voiceover, just make them off screens. And I think you're fine because the black screen. That's when I see a black screen, I'm like, whoa, what's
movie's
going
over,
on
movie's
here?
done. It's
Yeah.
done, yeah.
Or like, what's the
Movie's done.
significance of this? And then you come
Mm.
back out, and I'm like, wait a minute, was that a mistake?
Mm,
Why was that black screen?
right.
If you have a black screen and then you hear a scream, and then the
Mm.
lights come back on, and there's a dead body. Oh, okay. I
Well,
got
that would, yeah, you're right.
got
there-
it.
Yeah.
That's
I
one,
got
yeah, but yeah, definitely just give it, yeah, you have to give us some imagery in order to play the
something.
voiceover,
A
yeah,
little.
yeah,
I-
just a little something, yeah.
I agree with that. And I also did like the black screen at the beginning of the film where you hear the images and all that, because you see that in a lot of films like The French New Wave and other things. And when I was analyzing like my dreams, I'd set the alarm to go off. And, like how dreams would combine images together. But what was fascinating when I'm just drifting off, I was just combining words where things were black and I was hearing this mixture of words like a dream of pictures. And then it slowly opened up into the film. So in a way, I like the opening black screen imagery, and then you open up into the film because then it gives it a dreamlike quality.
Mhm.
And I like what Steven's saying, like you see, or the other thing too, like the first dialogue at the beginning and two talking about the lamps and doing that, if instead of, for me, that was a little too on the nose, but if like what Steven's saying, like when you show them making that, and we're trying to figure, oh, what's this? What's going on? Why are they doing that? And even like the beginning, like the early dialogue, it felt too on the nose. Like when it's time, Rhoda, I'd say I would just have that, and Rhoda would be shaking her head, and Irene would be saying yes,
Mhm. Mhm.
and Irene says, and Irene just says, "Rock, what's going to happen again to me?" And then Rhoda says, "But we can't separate, we're sisters or whatever it is," something like that, where. And plus the dialogue was like full sentences, just like bits of information where you give us clues. They already know, they're already in the middle of this conversation. They know it, and we're trying to catch up. And that keeps us interested in it. So like not giving everything away. And even with the, like Stephen was saying about the lamp, made, something like we got to get inside and it's just, that lamp's ugly. And then we're trying to figure what's that got to do with anything? And then we're seeing images of the building the lamp or them smashing, instead of the black, smashing the seashells and everything. That's intriguing because then we think, what's going on? How are they going to assemble this? How does it relate to the bigger film? But you got a lot of great stuff in here. I like this, and you recreating the mermaid thing reminds me of the werewolf stuff, like the silver bullet and all that. That was all invented by the screenwriter, and now it's all in werewolf lore now. Where they say, "Oh, you have to have a silver bullet and all this and that." And
I think the challenge of all the script is you're not only trying to set rules, but you're actually trying to dispel current rules of mermaids that people have in their mind. And so to me, when I reread the script the second time, I don't know if people would understand where you're going with the mermaid, the new rules of the mermaids until closer to the end. I mean, this is just I love the concept. I'm just wondering if we want to establish some of the rules earlier on, and therefore we get the payoffs a little more through the script, that I understand what's going on, even though I know the end of it is to reveal that it's a mermaid. I just maybe the reveal is just that she's turning into a mermaid. Maybe there's a couple things we could dispel, but maybe push some of the earlier things about mermaids and how they work. I mean, when I'm reading the first half, I don't get sometimes that they're talking about mermaids. They're just talking about me. I just don't like rain, you know. I just have this phobia against being wet.
Maybe.
And
Yeah.
it's such a great concept. But your challenge, like I said, you're not only trying to establish rules, but you're trying to establish rules that go against what people think. So it's a big challenge.
Well, if she's hinting at it though, like with the things, and we have to try to figure it out, I think that might work. You know, like and if she creates her own world where the three of these people are individuals, I don't think she has to disavow the old myths of mermaid. I mean, if this were a longer piece, you could say like, oh, that's just a myth or whatever. Or mermaids don't do that in real life or whatever. But the way she's creating, I mean, specifically with these characters interacting, that seems to be working very nicely for me.
Yeah. I mean, or it's a great intro for a feature, you know.
Yeah.
We've established everything, and now I'm ready for some action, you know. Now I'm ready to use all these rules. I want to see something happen now.
Oh, and I thought too at the beginning when they're walking on the beach, you might have like these fishermen, and they're then pulling up in a net these fishes and these fish, and and you just see them struggling all that, and they just look, and one of the characters, the other one who doesn't want her to leave would just say beastly, you know, or animals or something like that, and it would kind of visually symbolize what they're torn with, because she's saying like we got to separate, otherwise, you know, we can't swim in the ocean, we're going to be caught.
Hey, Rose, a quick question. Do we ever see their fangs?
Isn't there a quick insert of teeth?
Well, there's an insert of teeth when someone bites into Thomas's neck. But and while they're talking, are we seeing their fangs?
No.
Do they have fangs?
No, they're not.
They only when they fully turn.
Only when they fully turn.
Well, then they have them, but when they're human form, no. No.
Oh, so when she bites into his neck, does he see her as a mermaid?
Finally, after when they get to that part, because they're together for the night, and then she turns. You know what I mean? That's
okay.
Get it?
Oh, gotcha now. Okay, just check.
Oh, so I think I mentioned this the last time, but I'll just say it again. The daughter, it seems to me that the lead in this story is the daughter. She's about to, you could open up with her walking back from high school with a pack in, you know, some town in the New England coast. And she's real nervous, and she gets home, and the two sisters are, tonight's the night. And she goes, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I mean, and why don't you want to do this? You're getting older, so you have to do this. And, you know, it's kind of a fear of becoming a woman. We think that's maybe our first guess is what she's all upset about. And then, which leads to her, no, she's not just becoming a woman. She's turning into a mermaid. Oh, and by the way, these mermaids aren't the nice mermaids that you see in a Disney film. These are, you know, bloody creatures. And so there's one, she's worried about, you know, what's it gonna be like if I become a mermaid? Maybe she's scared of the water, or hasn't, I don't know. Does she like the ocean at all at this point? And then she knows what the second step is once I become the mermaid, there are gonna be these times when I eat things, other humans can't get away from it. That's the whole thing, is how does she deal with this? Waiting for her the moment when she has to make her first kill. Of course, that's way beyond the scope of a short film. But in short film, it's just young girl. Ooh, she's so scared of going over. Why is she such a baby? Oh shit, she's gonna turn into a mermaid. Oh shit, she's turning into a vampire mermaid, as it were. If that's and then we're there. Then we just see her tonight. We just see her go into the water. We don't know what's going to happen. We somehow see a flip of, somehow we see her in the water and a tail fin comes out of the water. We know she's made the transformation. We don't really know what her future is. That's just within the limitation of the short.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know how you work in the bloodthirsty thing. Maybe just when she comes in and she's covered with the blood, and we know that this is some, and you explain to us somehow how this is related to what the young girl is going to go through that night. It's real. Maybe it only takes place in one evening. The whole thing takes place. Boom, you're out.
Alec, have Alec the one freak out about the blood, not Rhonda. Alec, because she knows this is her destiny. So Rhonda's like, oh no, not again. And Alec goes, oh my God, no.
She's going things like, isn't there any way to stop this?
Can I stop this?
I can
Exactly.
control it?
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Oh, an image that might work, because like worst case scenario, say she's on a field trip with the other girls in her class, and they're like going up a hill or something, and she's just having trouble walking slowly, and then they're turning back. Maybe they're just joking, mildly making fun of her, but then she collapses and she just starts screaming in fear. And they might come back and at first be taunting her, but then they're scared and all that. But you have all these faces, they're all looking down at her, and she can't walk, and we don't know why she can't walk anymore. She can't feel anything. And then that image, and then you could fade to another scene. And then when you see her in the wheelchair, you could just think, oh, maybe she's just paralyzed or something. You don't realize this, but it's asking questions, it's creating questions, and it creates an image. And you want it in the worst case scenario, like if she's just doing this in front of her family that knows it's going to happen, it's not as scary. It's more embarrassing with your friends and everything. And then everyone's looking at you, everyone's laughing at you, everyone's looking down at you. And you're all scared and vulnerable and all that. Almost like the scene in Carrie when she's having her period and everyone's just laughing at her and all that. And then even the teachers like laughing at her. It's
right. Yeah, Rosa, I don't think you need to like acknowledge like sort of the old, Disneyfied, shall we say, Disneyfied mythos of mermaids and everything, how they've gone into pop culture. But a fun way to do that would be like, Alec is returning home from school, and then she says that they watched, the teacher was sick, so the substitute just put in a video, A Little Mermaid, and then Rhonda and Irene are just like, oh, we hate that movie because that's not we hate that movie. It's not a good representation of us. We don't have musicals beneath the sea with sea crabs or something like that. I know it's just one way of sort of acknowledging that, sort of the mythos of mermaids have been completely repackaged and sort of sweetened over the decades.
Oh, you could even have one of the mothers of Rhonda or something say, when they show the Little Mermaid, say, well, why don't they just show the Song of the South, for God's sake?
We misrepresentations.
Rosa, so the rule, I guess, the mermaid rule that comes into play here is that one of the sisters has fallen in love or in lust with the guy at the bar, and when you fall in love or lust, that state turns you into a mermaid on shore, I guess. I don't know whether they have.
Is it like cat people?
But it makes you eat the other person. So again, to tying that back into the young girl, she may have a crush before she's made the transfer. She has a crush on someone, and she's going. Now her great fear is, and maybe they've kissed, maybe they're in love with each other, but she knows that going forward, once she's made this transformation and it's about to happen, that she's going to kill this person, because that's the rule. That's the mermaid rule. If in fact that's the mermaid rule. I don't know all the rules of this world, but that seems to be the rule. Is it love or lust? If you just fuck someone, you have to eat them, or if you're in love with someone, you let them live.
Oh, and Rob, what you're saying, if you have that image of them with the girls in school, you might have a scene where she just glances at another girl where it gives the impression she has a crush on her, or that she's in love with that girl. And then that's what causes her legs to collapse and everything. So you're setting that part up if you want to go with that type of a story for it. On the other thing too, when you were talking about like, does she show her fangs or anything like that, you can have in their cabin, maybe in the background, just paintings of these obscure monster mermaid things that are like abstract, but it shows the darkness of what they can turn into when it's really negative. So you could see them like with the mermaid, and looking at it, you wouldn't, even if you looked at it directly, you wouldn't see that it's a mermaid thing. But looking back after you've seen the film, you'd say, oh, this is what happens later on. And you might have different images of paintings that foreshadow different scenes in the film later on. But you just mentioned it in your description.
I mean, what's the rule here? Is the rule that if they love, they have to eat someone, or should it be a rule of one of the girls goes out to a bar, some guy comes onto her, maybe takes her in the back of the alley, tries to rape her. At that point, she kills him. He comes home and we realize that these could be good mermaids, but fuck with them and they would. I mean, again, it depends what you're going to make the rule of.
Yeah, I mean,
Rose, just one thing, jumping off of what Rob said, I like the idea of Alec walking home from school. Maybe she's with two of her friends.
Okay.
And she starts to stumble and falls, and they say, hey, come on, clumsy. What's wrong with you? You've been falling down all week. And now we're like, oh, what's going on here? And now we're separating her from her friends. She's different and she's freaking out. And maybe she just starts running home after that. She goes, I got to go because she's freaking out. And that's a nice hook. And you're right. Alec should be, I agree with Rob. I like Alec as the lead because it's her change that's going on.
Yeah, you got a plot line there.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. And she's dreading it. She's absolutely dreading it.
Oh, and you could have one of the friends saying, like, because you keep falling down, you could say, are you a lush like your mom? Because they may be misinterpreting the mermaid things that they're going through, because when they're changing all that and they're doing it, like if someone say they have a medical condition and a thing, like, well, even like Rita Hayworth, when she had Alzheimer's going on and she couldn't remember her lines, they were spreading rumors that she was alcoholic and all that. And they were trying to interpret it into what their normal world would see. So that might be something like some reference to that. So then it puts in our mind, oh, is she from alcoholic parents or something? Or is she drinking? Then just a sleight of hand, like a misdirection for us until we see what's really happening.
Or you could have had another sister who committed suicide rather than grow into what appears to be the mermaid thing of having to kill people. Again, it depends what the rule is, but one of the sisters choose to kill herself rather than become a mermaid.
I like that. Or maybe Alec had an older sister who did that. And now it's more closer to Alec if it was her sister rather than her aunt.
Or if Stacey didn't commit suicide, instead of killing the person she was in love with, she then swam into the sea and she got caught in the net and killed.
Okay, we do have to move on shortly, but I just, I wanted to make sure, we gotta get to Stephen's script eventually, but yeah, any last words then for Rosa? All right.
I like the world, the universe you created. It's just so rich and wonderful. I want to see more.
Yeah, I think just sort of the same thing. Yeah, I think making Alec just the main sort of our guide into this would be perfect. Is it's almost pretty much set up here, and I just need to dive into it as it were. But I swear I didn't. I was just thinking about. But I definitely think this has a ton of potential. As I said previously, yes, this would be very hard to film, but I'd be willing to because this is, I think, especially with given a few more rewrites, it's definitely a good summer shoot.
And just quickly for puns like that, like what Jeff was saying, you might have other characters giving bad fish puns, and if you check on YouTube. Kip Adada's music video, Wet Dreams, he does all these fish puns that are just horrible. I mean, even if you don't use any of them, it's just entertaining.
But okay, yeah. so we're moving on to Steven's script. And so yeah, this is the third act, this is the whole shebang, and doing the whole thing. But yeah, does anyone want to start us? I think we're all familiar with how we do things around here, but does anyone want to start us off with sort of how we felt about the third act or the whole thing now that we've been able to read it all together? Yeah, Stephen, I think you ended so very well. You give a lot of closure to all the character and their arcs. You very well. Yeah, it's a very nice ending to this whole like mess of a cruise they all had together. And that's a nice image at the end that they're all like lined up and together at the bookstore. It's a great image of bringing all them back just for one final bit of closure and everything. So no, you tied up everything very nicely in the end. And overall, yeah, it is. I would love to see the revisions to this because I think there's things to be worked on. But yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good start for a feature.
Thank you.
I gotta say, I love the part with the gondola. Jack and Grace, and they both jump in the water. And then I liked all the excuses that everyone on deck gives why they can't save them. I just had my gallbladder out today. Oh, I'm wearing this suit. I mean, it's funny in the context of a comedy. I really enjoyed that. And I always love Alejandro. I like that he came back and I get to see him at the end. And I like, why is he wet? I mean, that like it's just like it's something, and then like nobody addresses it, and it's cool. I really like this ending. It's a really good ending.
Thank you.
Ties it all.
Yeah, I like
Alejandro.
too.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I say Alejandro always has like the best lines, like with the sea pups and stuff. I think that's great. Great having
Mhm.
characters like that. I mean, I like totally the Vince and Tess funny turnaround story with Wyatt and that whole thing. You know, it ended really nicely. I just love the the ship comes to dock and there's all this commotion going on, but it all comes together very nicely. And then I like the guard lines at the end too. They're really funny, kind of like letting him on. No, for the free love, no, you can't get on. So very nice, very nice. I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, the setting, I like the setting. I think the fact that it's on a cruise boat is a really good choice. You got a lot of opportunity for stuff to happen here.
Yeah, and actually, based on the last comments, I've got them on the cruise ship starting on page 10 now.
That's good.
So
Yeah.
I've cut that whole opening with the movie.
Mhm.
It's all
It's gone.
gone.
It's long gone.
He's now a fitness instructor. He's
Mhm.
not
An actor?
stunt double. Yeah.
Oh, stunt double. Yeah,
Stunt
that's right.
double, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
I took
Good
all
idea.
that out. Yep.
good idea. Yeah. All right. Is that all for firsty round? Going once, twice. All right. On to needs critique. Any questions for Stephen after reading the whole thing? Anyone want to start us off there?
Stephen, I read the new pages, your Act 3, and I got about 10, 12, maybe 15 pages into the new Act 1 of yours, but didn't read anything in the middle. So I can't comment about that. But the one thing that rereading the opening, I still think I think what you want to do here is you want to set the hook, as it were, with Jack and whoever your main characters are. I don't really care who they are, but you want to set the hook for your main characters and cut out. You have like Jack and Blair. We keep cutting with all the other characters. If you want to pull up pages 1, you want to pull up that opening, I would just have Jack and Blair. We understand what's going to, what the dynamic is between those two. Again, I'm not saying they should be the leads. They seem to be the leads now. And so just make us fully understand that they're supposed to be getting married. Do they both really want to get married? What are their personalities? I mean, you look at all these classic screwballs. It's, you have a world that's going along and suddenly it's disrupted. I thought of La Cage aux Folles, for example. You have, the Nathan Lane and Robin Williams character, they're running their little club there in Miami. Nathan Lane is not sure that he's still as loved as he once was and all that. And, that's the first step. And then the world is disrupted when the son comes home with his new girlfriend. Oh yeah, whose father is this, the parents are right-wing conservatives. And now, you do that. And the same thing with this one, set up a world, even if it's just going to be these two are planning on getting married. Maybe they're both really into it or not really into it. And we're waiting for everybody else basically to disrupt that world. We don't need to follow 3 different plot lines, which I think you have right now. You got, they all come in the first 6 pages. I'm just going, this is spinning, just plot line. Then I think get them to the cruise boat. Maybe while they're waiting to board the cruise boat, dump in your other characters and start to develop them. I mean, you have Alejandro's great. I think the guy who's the country western singer didn't seem to be used as much as he could because he sounded like he could be a pretty juicy little character. And then you go, boom, you're off to the races.
No, I agree. The opening I'm going to be writing is Jack picks up the ring and loses it.
Or it could be that, I mean, you however you want to play them. It could be Jack picks it up. Yeah,
I like the idea that he just can't hold on to this ring.
Yeah.
For some reason, he just keeps, so he walks out of the jewelry store, he trips, it falls, a dog picks it up in his mouth and runs off. And he's got to go after the dog.
Something like that.
And it's a series of complications until he finally gets the ring back.
Well, on that note, I was thinking about, that was one of the comments I had about the ring, is there's so much emphasis on this ring, getting it to the right person at the right time, and then lose it in the water. And I was expecting them to say, oh, the ring's not that important. Let's just get married and go on with the relationship. I don't know. That was kind of a little spin to the ending. Just something to maybe think about, but maybe that's how much the love means to them, that they don't even care about the ring anymore, even though it's been all about the ring up to this point. It's more like the symbolic. I mean, it's been so symbolic, like I need to get married, I need to do this. It's all about the ring, right? Something object, when it's really just about the love. And then maybe, that was just the one idea I had when I was reading at the end.
Or maybe he says something, this ring needs to go on the right finger now. Because it went on the wrong finger before. So he's determined.
But you want to have, I think what you want to have is, just to be clear, the ring, it's not that the ring is, that he can't hold on to the ring is one thing. But you want us to know right from the start that they plan to get married, but any love story is these people really fit together. And so you want to both show them how they fit together, but also how might not work. So in these first couple of pages, it's kind of like when he's in when they're in the cash register, the checkout stand, Jack's wearing the headphones. I mean, if you changed it a little bit, he could care less about the fact that they're going, I'm just throwing this out, that they're going on the cruise ship and he's going to propose. Whereas Blair is just blabbing to the cashier about, oh yeah, he's going to propose to me. Jack, of course, hears none of this because he has the headphones on, and we're looking at Jack and really wondering whether a guy who's so into like headphones, maybe he's playing video games, is he really a man to marry, or is he just still a man boy? He's not mature enough to marry. And maybe somehow you turn the camera around and ask whether Blair is mature enough to marry, whether she's just a young girl who's in love with the idea of being married.
I like it.
Set it up that way. So the ring is one thing, but the personalities are the key thing.
Yeah, the ring is a MacGuffin. Yeah, Stephen. Yeah. So yeah, it's just there just to bring all these characters together. It doesn't really mean much. I mean, if you still want it at the end, yeah, that's perfect. But again,
actually, I got an idea. What if he does put the ring on Grace's finger
Grace.
on the gondola? He slips, falls in the water.
He loses the ring. He loses the ring. Yeah,
or she gets it on. He puts it on his finger. He doesn't drop it, but he slips and falls off the gondola, and then she dives in to save him.
You can play it a million.
The ring or
play, yeah.
there's a mermaid in the water who comes out.
There you go. Combine your
mermaid.
two scripts. There
I
you go.
like that. A mermaid
you
saves him.
Yeah.
And the
Or
people are
needs
filming a zombie film with the
There
animation
it is.
and added to it.
I love it.
Mhm. We're getting all our scripts mixed up. Yeah. Mhm, mhm, mhm.
I mean, again, I mean, some like it hot. You got, Tony Curtis and what's his name, Jack Lemmon.
Mhm.
Two different kinds of guys. Jack Lemmon wants things buttoned down. Tony Curtis is carefree, he's a womanizer, and and of course their world is disrupted when unfortunately they're part of the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. They gotta hightail it. Nathan Lane, Robin Williams. They're two guys, but one wants to be very gay and swishy, and the other one is asking, can you tone it down, please? And of course, that's really what the whole thing is about. It's how free can I be to be myself?
Mhm.
And that's what you want to set up in these two characters right at the start is, yeah, they want to get married, but is this really a good idea?
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, how much can
Go
they
from
still be
there. Go
individuals?
from there.
Yeah, how much they can still be individuals and how much they have to sacrifice their individuality so they can work as a couple together.
Great notes. Thank you.
Mhm.
I did want to bring up on one other thing too, and that is the death promise. There's a lot of emphasis on the death promise to the mom, and I guess I never gave a promise to anyone dying. So I don't know. To me, I don't know if I would change my whole entire life. Like I would just tell people if they died something they want to hear, so they kind of go off in peace, but not actually commit to it. But maybe that's just me.
Mhm.
That
was
the part is, haven't you ever lied to your mom before?
Mhm. Right. Mhm.
Yeah, but I don't. But yeah, I mean, I thought about that, but I'm thinking it's got to be the deathbed,
Mhm.
and she never even made the promise to begin with.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's the
It
biggest thing. That's the biggest thing for me is the dad making up this like that to me is like kind of like that's a level of awfulness. Like yeah, you don't just make stuff up like that, like in order to get somebody married off or whatnot, or even anything. Like, yeah, the dead mom, the lying about the dead mom promise, that's a big that would be a big thing for me. I would almost, Jack should take like a swing at his dad, because that's a bit, because this thing has also been weighing on him. This thing has obviously been weighing on him for, I don't know how long, for years now. And, it's basically caused this mix up between him and Blair. It's, it's like, it's basically the inciting incident for this whole thing. And after all that, like the dad made it up, like that to me, the dad gets off way too cleanly, and Jack's dad gets off way too cleanly from that. That's a big offense. Like,
I got maybe it's bigger. Maybe it's bigger.
Go ahead.
Dad can say, your life was going nowhere. You weren't going to do anything about it, so I had to take over your life.
and Jack just slugs
and then,
him. Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, something. Yeah, in order
I'll
to
make the dad's reasoning bigger.
Yeah, that's or something. Yeah, because in order to try and mitigate it, because yeah, that to me is that's a big deal. that's a big offense right there. Kenyatta, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, it's one thing to make a promise to get married, but I was just wondering why particularly to Blair, because even if the father made it up, right? I mean, doesn't the father see how shitty Blair is? I mean, she's horrible.
Actually, but she's going to push him into being better, as he says. But this time next year, we're going to have 2 more stores up. So father likes Blair. Father wants him to push Jack into being this business owner. He loves Blair, because otherwise Jack is just going to sit around and play video games all day and make nothing of his life.
What if you flip it and he has made the death promise to his mom not to marry Blair? That he's not, then you flip it. And in the course of this, he's ignoring his death wish, his death promise to marry her, right? Now you have it set up that he promised to marry Blair. Correct, just let me make sure I'm following it properly. He's promised to marry Blair, right? Stephen? Yeah.
Yep.
Flip it. Now he's going against mom. And this is one of his concerns. Jesus Christ, I made this promise. Was mom right about Blair?
Hmm.
All right.
You know, Ma, you could have, you know, it's sort of like that scene in Moonstruck in the airport where Cher's watching Danny Aiello go off on the plane, and next to him is in black who spits and curses, "I hope they die." You know, a moment like that where, you know, you marry Blair and you are just making the worst choice.
One thing, like I didn't read the script, but the way you're talking about this promise, it feels like there's a debate between whether the ends justify the means, you know, because the father lied about something. So that might be a theme that you would echo throughout the story, where that's replayed in different little scenes or little business that people are doing. You know, do the ends justify the means, or is it being more truthful that matters more, or just honoring your word or yourself or your true love for your loved ones?
My thing was just, this is obviously weighed heavily on Jack for, you know, however long that this promise was, you know, promise, quote unquote, it was made. And, you know, it's obviously been like, it's been haunting him and everything. And after all that, it was a lie. It's just the reaction of Jack wouldn't just, at least for my book, it wouldn't just be sort of, oh, you know, oh yeah, that was that, you know, I get to, it would be like real, like, almost fisticuffs there, because
No, I like that. He'll take a swing at his dad.
Yeah.
Or a couple swings.
Okay, yeah, or something.
Oh
like,
yeah,
or
he knocks his dad down his ass.
Yeah, because again, this has been really tragic for him, and then all through all this, it's weighed heavily on his relationships and everything for all these years, and you know, it just turns out to be a flat out lie. Yeah, again, I think the comeuppance needs to be there for this.
What might be fascinating, say he does take swings at his dad, and he's saying like, how can you do this to me? And dad says, well, you wouldn't be around if you know, if my dad didn't do it to me. It turns it around.
Wow.
And
Okay.
like,
Well,
we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
It sounds like the Italian film, The Conformist, where he believes he killed someone, and then because of that, he causes the death of a couple of friends, and then later on in life, he realized he didn't cause that death. The person's still fine, and just having to step. But that's more drama and everything.
I mean, if you want to make it a drama, Steve, I think that can work. But in a comedy, like, I'm just thinking, well, poor Jack. Like, geez, like, wow, this is but I'm not quite sure how to turn that like on it to make that a little bit more funny. Like the only thing I can think is he tries to take a swing at his dad for all that.
He clobbers, he decks his dad.
No, but sorry, but I think that sounds good from what I'm hearing, you know, the periphery. But it'd be good if the dad can come back with some other twist to it. But we think, oh yeah, now he's beating his, you know, punching his dad. The dad was awful, but then we see this turnaround thing, whatever it is, whether that happened to him and he wouldn't have had his business or his family, or he wouldn't have married his wife or something. So just to make it a little more complex, almost like Rod Sterling's Patterns, where it's not black and white, the ending.
Okay.
You know, the only thing I might add is that you got three separate plot lines, really, three characters who aren't really related to each other, other than they happen to be on the same cruise together. Maybe you have Jack and Blair have a friend of theirs come along who somehow gets in on some of this action. So somehow it ties a little bit later to Jack and Blair. I mean, you can do it as though they don't have to know each other, but you could also have, like, you know, the girl or the guy who's all the tag along for this whole thing, who finds love or not on the cruise, and are sort of a little bit more invested in their success too. And maybe they provide commentary on the Jack Blair relationship. I don't know.
I wrote it down. Thank you.
Also on the end, I had a comment. You have Grace and Jack. I think you were alluding to the fact at the beginning that you don't really know what happened to them, and at the end they go, "Oh yeah, the ending was written happy" or whatever. I don't know if you want to try to fool the audience to say that they kind of broke up a little bit and then go to the extremes that they're married. I mean, you obviously already did the pregnant bump with the other characters. So you don't want to have 2 pregnant women that, but I don't know, it was just an idea. You could go to the extremes on that one to make it look like they maybe didn't get together, but then they are definitely together in some super happy relationship. I don't know. That was just one comment.
Okay, thank you.
Otherwise, I have like 15 other ones, but they're just very small about what this line is or this line. I can send those to you.
Yeah, please. I'll send you mine too.
Well, if you have a cynical character in there, they might comment at the end, and just say how it ended tragically for both of them. They got married. Like if there's some character on the thing, and he's talking to someone else, just a plot twist, and then you show them all happy, or the couple kissing, or whatever, or raising a family, or both doing part of each other's lives, where they've moved closer towards each other. Like what the other likes and what the other likes.
Yeah, the omniscient character that's sort of like been throughout the piece, but then has the final word.
Oh, like Maurice Chevalier in Love in the Afternoon or something.
No, yeah, it's just a small thing. It's just my pet peeve of it ends with the writer like actually penning the title card. It's just a little pet peeve with me that I don't know, like I don't know, something like maybe a title that's very, very, very similar, but just not like not like One Ring Circus, like I don't know, Cruise Fiasco or something like that. I don't know. It's just me personally. Like it's just a pet peeve whenever it's about an author, and then at the end he's writing the title of the movie. That implying that the entire thing you just saw was written by him. Like I don't know, it's just I guess it can work, but it's always just a little pet peeve with me with it whenever it deals with writers and everything.
Unless
the meta commentary sort of.
Unless when we see the title of the film, we think it's one thing, and then when we see the end, just the way it resolves, and he writes the title, we realize it's something completely different or askew from what we thought, and then we might have an aha moment or something.
One way it might work, if you want to stick with, I mean, if this is a highly stylized film, the kind of thing that Jeffrey doesn't like is very typical, really, kind of these 1950s things. They loved doing it back then. So for style points, that's what you would do.
Again, no, it's just a little thing with me. I mean, it is. It's but it's just sort of a little bit disconnect there with me whenever that happens. But I mean, if you it's really just a personal thing about sort of certain things like that. But
I'm already thinking of a different title.
By the way, were you trying to think that maybe that this was actually it didn't actually happen? Maybe I didn't catch that it was just actually he just put his friends into this book, but it actually didn't happen.
Oh my God. Whoa. Ow.
He's just spinning a yarn. Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Okay, I like that. I don't mind that.
Wow.
Don't do that to us.
Oh my God, Barry.
Usual suspects. The usual suspects. There you go.
Or do you ever see the film Big Fish, where the father's telling all these stories, and you think it's all big yarns, and then at the end he realized he told the truth?
Well, there's grains of truth in it, but that's
right.
Like the giant wasn't 3 stories tall, but he was 7 feet tall.
I mean, all you have to do is end with a line saying, "We should really go on a cruise one day."
There you go. Okay.
Oh my God.
Should really actually do this one day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I don't know.
Oh,
there's
oh my God. That's like, oh my God.
Or the last name of the woman he meets, the love of his life, her last name is Cruz. I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
That's interesting. Yeah, he's just been spinning a yarn this entire time. It's just like, but
You
Wow.
could set it up that a man and a woman are writing the story. And this is the story. And then we realize, oh, hold on a second. This is really, we
Mhm.
think they're co-authors. Haven't gotten married yet, though.
Oh, it's like the authors of Bringing Up Baby, because they were looking for something throughout the whole thing, but the two writers, I think it was that film. There was two writers in a comedy film like that. They fell in love writing the film.
Mm.
It could be something where they're writing this,
Mhm.
and they're going back and forth, and then it resolves that their real life, it was almost their subconscious was in this, and they were kind of mating, or flirting or courting while they were writing this, and this whole movie
Two
was them
Hollywood
courting.
script writers have to co-pen a romance story, and it's the story that Stephen's written interspersed between the romance, the imaginary, real romance or not.
Mhm. Mhm.
Boy,
Mhm.
oh boy,
Mhm.
we really can take this pretty far.
You can. You can.
Or the ending, he wakes up with Grace next to him in bed and they're on a cruise.
Mhm. Mhm.
And Alejandro is next to them.
The road is in somehow.
Alejandro is serving them cocktails.
Mhm. 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 Okay. Does anyone have anything else they want to leave with Stephen?
Thank you all. These are
Oh,
great
well,
notes. Thank you.
I didn't know that you sent in a new first act. So I just read the last, I just read from page 87 onward. So I didn't know that you changed it up, but I'll see if I can get to the first act of yours and send you notes.
Okay, sure.
But yeah, well, I'm of course all up for a revision from you or a redraft whenever you want to get to it or whenever you want to send it in. But
Okay.
yeah, no, good stuff. It's a good, nice, old-fashioned sort of comedy trope. The shenanigans on a cruise ship. Yeah, was a well-known trope like 50, 60 years ago. But yeah, that's a nice little throwback. All right, so a little bit of time. So does anyone have any scripts, story ideas they want to pitch to the group or log lines they need help on just to fill out the rest of the time? Or if no, everyone is all settled. No, okay then. If nothing else, then hopefully we'll be up for doing this again on the 30th, right in time for Halloween. So I know you're free to dress up if not, but other than that, so Barry, are you going to send in either episode 2 or revision of this pilot?
Yeah. Let me think about it. You guys got me a
Okay.
lot to think about.
Okay, it's up to you.
I'd like to nail down the first one before the second one,
Sounds
and
good.
then hopefully they'll all flow. And I wonder if I even need a second one. I could just think number 3, number 2, but there may be some things I need to fill in. Help the audience get along.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I won't be here on the 30th. I'm traveling that day. But I'll look in if people have submitted scripts and I can
Get feedback. Sounds good, Rob. Sounds good.
So you taking a cruise then, Robert?
I am driving to Florida.
Oh,
okay.
Okay. All right.
Well, Halloween, you might bump into the zombies.
Might want to. Real ones are real ones are fake ones, right? But all right. So Stephen, do you have anything else for us, Rita, or are you going to wait on it for the next few scripts?
I'm gonna wait. I may be out of town on the 30th.
Gotcha.
Possibly LA. I'm not sure, but I'll let you know. But I will read the scripts and send notes.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, all right then. If nothing else, if anyone, but I think it's good discussion. I think we gave good feedback to all the writers again, as always.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Happy birthday, Rosa.
Happy birthday again, Rosa.
Yes, happy birthday.
Again. All right. Have a good one. Enjoy.
Another year younger.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the way to put it. Yeah. Okay. But have fun with the festivities, Rosa. And if nothing else, it was forum is dismissed until 2 weeks.
All right.
Oh, and thanks for hosting, Jeffrey.
Oh, it's my,
Yes.
thank you, Robert. Yes, no problem. This is
Oh, and
great.
if you could say hi to Deborah, because I
Will
went to
do.
her meetings one in person
Mhm.
years ago. I haven't seen her for a long
Mhm.
time.
Will do. Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Okay. But have a good rest of the
Nice
weekend
meeting
all.
people
Yeah.
again.
See you in 2 weeks.
Take care,
All right.
everyone.
Take care. All right.
Take
All
care.
right, take care.